Good evening. I trust you've had a fruitful day. I do not say happy, though I hope it has been happy. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Buddha, the blessed, noble, and fully self-awakened one. There is necessarily a lot of repetition in the scriptures, partly because of the tradition of remembering it by heart. So there's repetitious phrases, set pieces, etc. But there are also there's a lot of repetition in terms of the doctrine. And there are slight nuances as you go through the scriptures, but I've chosen to have a look at the shorter discourse to Saccaka. And the discourse is around the five aggregates, which is the body, feelings, perceptions, concepts, volitional formations, habits of thought, habits of speech, habits of the body, and of course consciousness, which is the screen upon which everything arises. And the question is this a self or is it not a self? So the Buddha's arguments are always about control. What sort, if it is me, then I should control it. So can you say to the body, be bigger, be smaller, etc. And it's the same with feelings, perceptions, your habits. Are you absolutely in control of your habits, and so on? So it's about control. And then the next question is it permanent or impermanent? So the soul or something everlasting is meant to be permanent. So it's obviously impermanent. If it's impermanent, is it satisfactory? No, it's not satisfactory. So there's always those three characteristics whereby he gives us a critique for looking at if there is anything in us which is permanent, which doesn't die, etc. He says there is, but he continues to say it's not a self. Okay, so this of course is very confusing for people, confusing for us. So now we went through all that. If you remember at the beginning, those of you who've slogged through the days with me, and the reason I've chosen this is because it gives us some hint of the debates that went on at the time, and possibly the way people talked about them. Now, this is Chinese whispers. There was probably some small original conversation between the Buddha and Saccaka. Maybe there was an audience at the shrine. Maybe quite a lot of people, and it would have been perhaps a little bit. Some of the speakers would attack you like they do today. Some of them would be subtle, trying to undermine you. Some people come up with all sorts of ways of tricking you into believing that they were right. And one of the tricks he uses, of course, is to appeal to the majority. So we say, well, I'm right because everybody else is right. Because of 1,000 people in this room, 501 agree with me, therefore I must be right. But as Gandhi pointed out, the truth can be in a minority of one. So let's see what happens here. So the Blessed One was at the moment staying at Vaisali in the great wood in the hall of the peaked roof. And on that occasion, Saccaka, the Nigantha's son. Now, Nigantha was the name that was given to the Jains. It means without ties, having freed from all ties. So it sounds a bit like Nibbana. And the leader was called Nataputta, the son of Nata. And this is his son, Saccaka. And he was a debater and a clever speaker, regarded by many as a saint. He was making a statement before the Vaisali assembly. So Vaisali was an oligarchy ruled by nobles. I see no recluse or Brahmin, the head of an order, the head of a group, a teacher of a group, even one claiming to be accomplished and fully enlightened, who would not shake, shiver, tremble, and sweat under the armpits if he were to engage in debate with me. Even if he were to engage even if I were to engage with a senseless post, it would shake, shiver, and tremble if it were to engage in a debate with me. So what shall I say of a human being? So the Venerable Assaji was hanging around. Assaji was one of the disciples of the, companions of the Buddha, one of the 5 companions, and he's the one who Sariputta met. And when Sariputta asked him, what does your teacher teach? He said, for everything that happens, there must be a cause. And that's what drew Sariputta towards the Buddha. So he's quite a famous monk and fully liberated, yeah? Now, as Saccaka Nigantha's son was walking and wandering for exercise, he saw the Venerable Assaji and made a courteous and amiable talk and stood to one side and said, how does the recluse Gautama discipline his disciples? And how is the recluse Gautama's instruction usually presented to his disciples? So here Assaji explains, the body, feelings, thoughts, etc., are not self. If this is what the recluse Gautama asserts, we hear indeed what is disagreeable. This is what Saccaka says. Perhaps sometime or other we might meet Master Gautama and have some conversation with him. Perhaps we might detach him from this evil view. So at that time, 500 Lichavis had met together in the assembly hall for some business or other. And Saccaka, Nigantha's son, went to them and said, come forth, good Lichavis, come forth. Today there will be some conversation between me and the recluse Gautama. If the recluse Gautama maintains before me what was maintained before me by one of his famous disciples, the bhikkhu named Assaji, then just as a strong man might seize a long-haired ram by the hair and drag him to and drag him fro and drag him round about, so in debate I shall drag the recluse Gautama to and drag him about. And just as a strong brewer's workman might throw a big brewer's sieve into a deep water tank and taking it by the corners, drag it to, drag it fro, drag it around. So in a debate, I shall drag this recluse Gautama to and drag him fro, and so on. And just as a brewer's mixer might take a strainer by the corners and shake it down and shake it up and thump it about, so in debate, I will shake the recluse Gautama down and shake him about and thump him about. And just as a 60-year-old elephant might plunge into a deep pond and enjoy playing the game of hemp washing, I don't know what that is, so I shall enjoy playing the game of hemp washing with the recluse. What we can say is it's rather nasty. So come forward, Lichavis, follow me. So thereupon they all wander off, you see, to see this debate, and they all meet in the hall of the peaked roof in the great wood where, of course, the Buddha was. So, there was a number of Buddhist monks there, and he asks them where he's staying. So he enters into the wood, and then together with this large following of Lichavis, they approached the Buddha, and they exchanged greetings, etc. Sat down by one side, some kept silent, and so on. Now, when Saccaka, the Nigantha's son, had sat down, he said to the Blessed One, I would like to question Master Gautama on a certain point. If Master Gautama would grant me the favor of an answer to the question, ask what you like, Ajivesena. Now, Ajivesena was his clan name. Ajivesena. That was his clan name. So Siddhartha was his first name, and then Gautama is his family name, and Sakya is the clan or the tribe or whatever you want to call it. So this Saccaka belonged to the Ajivesana clan. How does the Master Gautama discipline his disciples? What's his instruction? How does he usually present it? This is how I discipline my disciples, Ajivesena, and this is how my instruction is usually presented. And then he goes through a material form. The body is impermanent. Feeling is impermanent. Material form is not self, feeling is not self, etc. All formations are impermanent, etc. So this is the way I teach. A simile occurs to me, Master Gautama. Explain how it occurs to you, Ajivesana. Just as when seeds and plants, whatever their kind, reach growth, increase, and maturation, all do so dependent on the earth, based on the earth. And just as when strenuous works, whatever their kind, are done, all are done in dependence upon the earth, based on the earth, so too, Gautama, a person has material form as self. Based upon material form, he produces merit and demerit. A person has feeling as self, and based upon feeling, he produces merit or demerit. And so the same with perception, same with formations, and the same with consciousness. Ajivisena, are you not asserting this? Material form is myself, material feeling is myself, formations, consciousness. I assert thus, Master Gautama, material form is myself, consciousness, and so on. And so does this great multitude. What has this great multitude to do with you, Ajivisena? Please confine yourself to your own assertions. I'll put him down a bit. Then, Master Gautama, I assert thus, material form is self, and so forth. In that case, Ajivisena, I shall ask you a question in return. Answer as you choose. What do you think, Ajivisena? Would a head-anointed noble king, such as King Pasenadi of Kosala, exercise the power in his realm to execute those who should be executed, fine those who should be fined, and banish those who should be banished? Master Gossamer, a head-anointed king such as King Pasenadi of Kosala would exercise that power. For even communities and societies such as the Vajians, so remember there were groups of people who were oligarchies, ruled by nobles, a sort of democracy. And the Malians exercised the same power to execute and fine and banish in their own kingdom. So obviously a head-anointed noble king would do so. So what do you think, Ajivisena? When you say material form, the body, do you exercise any such power over that form? Let this body be like this, let this body be like that. Now, when this was said, Saccaka, the Nigantha's son, was silent. A second time, the Blessed One asked the same question, and a second time, the Nigantha's son was silent. Then the Blessed One said, Ajivisena, answer now. Now is not the time to be silent. If anyone, when asked a reasonable question up to a third time by the Tathagata, in other words, by somebody who's self-awakened, still does not answer, his head splits into 7 pieces there and then. Now, on that occasion, a thunderbolt-wielding spirit holding an iron thunderbolt that burned, blazed, and glowed appeared in the air above Saccaka, the Nigantha's son, thinking, if this Saccaka, the Nigantha's son, when asked a reasonable question up to the third time by the Blessed One, still does not answer, I shall split his head into 7 pieces here and now. The Blessed One saw the thunderbolt-wielding spirit, and so did Saccaka, the Nigantha's son. Then Saccaka, the Nigantha's son, was frightened, alarmed, and terrified. Seeking his shelter, asylum, and refuge in the Blessed One, he said, ask me the question, Master Gautama, and I will answer. So what do you think, Ajivisena, when you say thus, material form is myself? Do you exercise any such power over that form? Such as you can say, let my body be like this, let my body be like that. No, Master Gautama. Pay attention, Ajivisena. Pay attention how you reply. What you said before does not agree with what you said afterwards, nor does what you said afterwards agree with what you said before. What do you think, Ajivisena, when you say this? Feeling is myself. Do you exercise any power? No, Master Gautama. Pay attention, Ajivisena. So he goes all the way through the 5 khandhas, perception and consciousness. Pay attention. How do you reply? What you said before does not agree, and so on and so forth. Now, what do you think, Ajivisena? Is material form permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Master Gautama. And is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Suffering, Master Gautama. Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change fit to be regarded as this is mine, this I am, this is myself? No, Master Gautama. Okay, so he's and then he's giving in, you see. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Suffering, Master Gautama. Now, what do you think, Ajivasena? When one adheres to suffering, in other words, with wrong view, resorts to suffering, holds to suffering, and regards what is suffering thus. So you can always substitute suffering for what is unsatisfactory. This is mine, this I am, this is myself. Could one ever fully understand suffering oneself or abide with suffering utterly destroyed? How could one, Master Gautama? It's a bit deflated now. No, Master Gautama. So what do you think, Ajivasena? That being so, do you not adhere to suffering, resort to suffering, hold to suffering, and regard what is suffering thus? This is mine, this I am, this is myself. Oh, how could I not, Master Gautama? Yes. So in other words, he's now really, he's almost fully capitulated. So then the Buddha likes his similes. And a man needing heartwood, so that's right in the middle of the tree, enters with an axe and so forth. And then he would cut down the root, cut off the crown, and went on. And then he would go unrolling the leaf sheaths. He would never come even to any sapwood, let alone the heartwood. So to Ajivasena, when you are pressed, questioned, and cross-questioned by me about your own assertion, you turn out to be empty, vacant, and mistaken. But it was you who made this statement before the Vesali assembly. And then he quotes him saying that, I see no recluse, etc., even one claiming to be accomplished, who would not shake, shiver, tremble, and sweat under the armpits if he were to engage in debate with me. So poor old Saccaka's really he's having to eat his words. Now, said the Buddha, now there are drops of sweat on your forehead, and they have soaked through to your upper robe and fallen to the ground. But there's no sweat on my body now. And the Blessed One uncovered his golden covered body before the assembly. And when this was said, Saccaka, the Nigantha's son, sat silent, dismayed, with shoulders drooping and head down, glum and without response. So I think we can presume a little storytelling here. Then Dhumaka joins in. So he's he's a Lichavi, and he says he's got a simile. So the Buddha says, let's explain it. He says, suppose not far from a village or town there was a pond with a crab, and then a party of boys and girls went out to the town and village to the pond and went into the water and pulled the crab out. And when the crab extended a leg, they cut it off, broke it, and smashed it with sticks and stones. So that the crab, with all its legs cut off, broken, and smashed, would not be able to get back into the pond. So too, all Saccaka and Nigantha's sons' contortions, writhings, and vacillations have been cut off, broken, and smashed by the Blessed One. And now he cannot get near the Blessed One again for the purpose of debate. So he's been thoroughly shamed. So he said, so Saccaka then turns on him and says, wait, Dhumaka, wait. We are not speaking with you. We're speaking with the Master Gautama. Let that talk of ours be, Master Gautama, like that of ordinary recluses and brahmins. It was mere prattle. So he's now dismissing the whole discourse or conversation he had with the Buddha as simple prattle. But in the way that a disciple of the recluse, one who carries out his instruction, who responds to his advice, and who has crossed beyond doubt, become free of perplexity, gained intrepidity, and become independent of other teachers, of the teacher's dispensation. He's asked the question, in what way does a disciple who carries out the instruction, responds to the advice, crossed beyond doubt, become free from perplexity, become independent of others in the teacher's dispensation? So now the Buddha simply goes through the usual. So any kind of material form, past, present, etc., is not self, not me, not mine. In what way does a bhikkhu, so this is again Saccaka asking, in what way is a bhikkhu an arahat with taints destroyed, who has lived the holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached the true goal, destroyed the fetters of being, and is completely liberated through final knowledge? And here Ajivasena, so this is the Buddha answering, any kind, so off he goes again. This is He does it by recognizing that everything that we think we are is not us. So there's no self to be found in this psychophysical organism. So then he says, the Buddha says, it is in this way that the bhikkhu is an arahat with taints destroyed, one who's lived the holy life, done what had to be done, and been liberated through final knowledge. When a bhikkhu's mind is thus liberated, he possesses three unsurpassable qualities: unsurpassable vision, that's meant to be nibbana; unsurpassable practice of the way, so in other words, he knows how he got there and the path to liberation; and unsurpassable deliverance, that he won't return back to the ordinary life. When a bhikkhu is thus honored, he still honors and reveres and venerates the Tathagata. So he still venerates me as the Blessed One. The Blessed One is enlightened and teaches the Dharma for the sake of enlightenment. The Blessed One is tamed and teaches the Dharma for taming oneself. The Blessed One is at peace and teaches the Dharma for the sake of peace. The Blessed One has crossed over and he teaches the Dharma for crossing over. So this is crossing over to the island. And the Blessed One has attained in Nibbana and he teaches Dharma for the attaining of a Nibbana. Now when this was said, Saccaka replied, Master Gautama, we were bold and impudent in thinking we could attack Master Gautama in debate. A man might attack a mad elephant and find safety, yet he could not attack Master Gautama and find safety. A man might attack a blazing mass of fire and find safety, yet he could not attack Master Gautama and find safety. A man might attack a terrible poisonous snake and find safety, yet he could not attack Master Gautama and find safety. We were bold and impudent in thinking we could attack Master Gautama in debate. So final capitulation. So he says, let the Blessed One come with the Sangha of bhikkhus and consent to a meal tomorrow. And so he then turns to the Lichavis, this is the Nigantha's son, Saccaka, and says, bring along food for the feast, you see. And then there's a lovely bit at the end. In the morning, of course, the Blessed One dresses, takes his bowl, and makes his way to where the meal is, at the head of a group of monks. And Saccaka, Nigantha's son, took a low seat, sat by the side, and said to the Blessed One, Master Gautama, may the merit and the great meritorious fruits of this act of giving be for the happiness of the givers. So that's mainly the Lichavis. And Ajivisena, the Buddha replies, whatever comes about from giving to a recipient such as yourself, one who is not free from lust, not free from hatred, not free from delusion. So remember, he was thought of as a saint. That will be for the givers. And whatever comes about from giving to a recipient such as myself, one who is free from lust, free from hate, free from delusion, that will be for you. So he's saying that there's a special merit that will accrue to Saccaka because he's offered food to somebody who is completely liberated. So a nice little ending there. Poor old Saccaka has been humbled. He was, what was it now? He was sitting very glum and dejected, and he's finally lifted up out of it, recognized his mistake, and come to some pleasant ending with the Buddha. So you have to take this as a pinch of salt. It's a little bit of Buddhist propaganda. The Buddha had these two sort of big groups that he would generally have to debate against. First of all, the Brahmins and their position as special priests and stuff like that, and their beliefs. And on the other side were the Jains, you see. So I can only hope this discourse has been at least some light relief. We have been over some of the old teachings there about not self, and I can only hope that you will carry on your practice and become fully liberated sooner rather than later. So we can begin our practice. Buddhaṃ pujami Dhammang Pujami, Sanghang Pujami. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Panati pata veramani sikhapadang samadhiyami. Adina dana veramani sikhapadang samadhiyami. Kame sumichachara veramani sikhapadang samadhiyami. Musawada veramani sikhapadang samadhiyami. Suramaraya majjapamadhatana veramani sikhapadang samadhiyami. So we're making sure that our posture is that of the fully liberated one. Now just that moment to lift the energy up from the lower back and abdomen, lifting up through the top of the head. Gently, no strain. And relaxing the brow, eyes gently closed, lips together, teeth apart, shoulders, and hands on the lap. Just acknowledging that posture, the energy running up the spine, everything else relaxed. This body is subject to disease. This body is of a nature to fall ill. This body has not gone beyond sickness. This body is subject to aging. This body is now in the process of aging. This body has not gone beyond aging. This body is subject to death. This body has not gone beyond death. This body will die. There is the unborn, undying, uncreated, uncompounded. The unconditioned, true refuge, harbour and home, perfect peace and contentment. Those who are mindful are in the presence of Nibbana. Waiting for the settlement, and then opening up to whatever draws the attention within that field of awareness. Just observing, just feeling, just experiencing. Keeping awake that sense of curiosity. That's enough. A moment's reflection. Resolution. So we can begin our evening contemplations. So just speaking gently into our own hearts. May I be free from physical pain. May I be free from mental distress. May I be liberated of all my sufferings. Bringing to mind someone we know who's going through a hard time. May you be free of physical pain. May you be free of mental distress. May you be liberated of all your sufferings. And for all those at this moment who are sick and or suffering from mental illness, people in the process of dying, and those who have died and left grieving family, relatives and friends, people going hungry, homeless and destitute, those having to deal with severe personal and interpersonal difficulties, all those caught up in wars and repressive regimes, and those being tortured, and there are those suffering from natural disasters and climate crisis. All the sentient beings are being cruelly treated and unnecessarily slaughtered, and all who find life meaningless. May you be free of physical pain. May you be free of mental distress. May you be liberated of all your sufferings. Offering our compassion to all beings in all directions. May all beings be free of physical pain. May all beings be free of mental distress. May all beings be liberated of all their sufferings. Bring to mind now some moments of joy, happiness that we've experienced today. And rejoicing in that. May I be joyful. May my joyfulness increase. May I experience the bliss of liberation. Bring to mind someone we know is cause to be joyful. May you be joyful. May your joyfulness increase. May you experience the bliss of awakening. And all those at this moment who are happy and content with their lives, who enjoy the warmth of friendships, delight in art and nature, hobbies and so on, who find their work meaningful, who enjoy the fruitfulness of their spiritual lives, and who rejoice in the success of others. May you be joyful. May your joyfulness increase. May you experience the bliss of Nibbana. Radiating our goodwill joy to all beings in all directions. May all beings be joyful. May your joyfulness increase. May you experience the bliss of Nibbana. Allowing these words now to flow through us. If you are wise and want to reach the state of peace, you need to be upright, responsible, gentle, and humble, easily contented, and need only a few things. Not always be busy and have the right sort of work. You need to guard the senses and be modest. You do not have to be exclusively attached to only a few people. You should not do the slightest thing that a wise person could blame you for. Be always thinking, may all beings be happy, whatever living beings there are, be they weak or strong, big or small, large or slender, living nearby or far away, those who've already been born and those who've yet to be born, may all beings, without exception, be happy. Be truthful to one another and do not think anyone anywhere is of no value. Do not wish harm to anyone, even when you're angry, just as a mother would protect her only child at the risk of her own life. So you should let the warmth of your heart go out to all beings. Let your thoughts of love go through the whole world, above and below, without any barrier, with no ill will or hatred. Whether you're standing, walking, sitting, or lying down, so long as you are awake, develop this affectionate mindfulness. This, they say, is the noblest way to live, and if you do not fall into unskillful ways, but live well and develop insight, and are no longer attached to all the desires of the senses, then truly you'll never need to be reborn into this world again. So please join me in the chant, or if you wish, continue offering your goodwill using perhaps these traditional blessings. May you be safe, well, and happy. May you live contented in harmony with the world. Karaniya gata kusalena yantang santang padang gapi samecha sakojucha suhujucha suvachocha samudu anatimani santu sakocha subharocha apakichocha salahukawuti Santendryocha nipakocha apagabo kolesu ananugido nachakudan samachare kenchi ena wenyu pare upawade sukino wa kevino hantu sabe satabawantu sukitata Naparo parang nikubeta nati manyata katachin enkenchi Biaro sana patiga sanya nanya manya sadukangicheya Mataya tani yang putangayu sai kaputanganurake He wampi sababute su manasam bhawaye aparimanam. Metencha sabalokasming manasam bhawaye aparimanam. Udangado cha tiriancha asampatanga veranga sapatang. Titan charanesino wa sayano wa yavatasa vigatamido. Heitan satingaditeya brakmangetang viharangita mahu. Ditincha anupagama sila wa dasanena sampano. Kame su enheya gedam. Nahi jatu gabaseyan punaretiti. May all beings be happy. Sabe sata sukita hontu. Sabe sata sukita hontu. Sabe sata sukita hontu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I think I missed a bit of the chanting there. Sorry about that. I must be tired. So don't forget, from now to fall asleep is also part of our practice, and putting something quite lovely into the heart, slipping away into sweet oblivion, only to wake up in the morning to take full advantage of the day. May you sleep peacefully.